Hey guys, it's the MMA and political analyst, and we're going to do a quick little review of UFC 172, John Jones versus Glover Teixeira. We're going to start just doing the main card for right now. In the future, if there's some interesting fights in the prelims, we'll talk about those too. But for right now, we'll just talk about the main card. So let's get it started off with Max Holloway versus Andre Fili. This is Andre Fili's. This was Andre Fili's second fight in the UFC, and he came in as the favorite against Max Holloway, who have 7 UFC fights. Sometimes those Vegas odds makers intrigue me. If you wanted to make some money, this was definitely the fight to bet on. And Max Holloway actually ended up getting the win with the guillotine choke. Things were kind of competitive for maybe the first round, a little bit into the second round, but really just Max Holloway kind of took over, much more versatile, throwing those spinning back kicks to the liver and to the stomach. Had Andre Fili really backing up, hurt, and eventually just kind of wore him down and was able to finish off with the nasty guillotine. He actually tapped early at the guillotine. Ref didn't see it, and Max Holloway actually kind of like rolled him over a little bit to expose him more, so he could see that the ref could see that the guy was tapping. And big win for Max Holloway. That definitely, he's got to watch out for. I mean, he's got 3 losses, although his one loss to Dennis Bermudez was probably a robbery, if I'd say so myself. But that's happened sometimes in the UFC. Andre Fili, like I said, it's only his second fight. We got to see a little bit more from him before I can make a big, determination as to his future. So he's training over there at Team Alpha Male, but he's primarily a striker, which is kind of unusual for Team Alpha Male. See, that's where all the wrestlers go. And so I don't know. I don't know what to say about him. Gotta see more. Max Holloway, definitely somebody to keep an eye out on. What's next for him? I don't know. I'd like to see him against a wrestler, though. Most of the guys he's fought are just well-rounded guys, or maybe like some primarily, um, strikers. So I'd like to see him against one of those like super duper wrestler types. One of those real team alpha male types before we start to really put him in top contender status. So we'll see how he does against those. Sometimes we see these tall, lankier guys like Max Holloway have a lot of issues against wrestlers. So I'd like to see how he does in that field, but definitely keep an eye on him. Next up, lightweight Jim Miller versus Yancy Medeiros. Well, what could I say? Yancy Medeiros was choked unconscious in the first round by Jim Miller. And we're used to seeing this by Jim Miller. Jim Miller's a guy, gritty, decent striking, good wrestling, strong submissions, and this is what he does. I mean, he'll beat guys like Yancy Medeiros all day and night. But when you put him up against, top 10 guy, top 5 guy, well, he will likely lose. And that's basically all you can expect from Jim Miller. As much as I hate to say it, that's him, kind of like a gatekeeper type guy. So what are we going to see him from next? Well, we'll probably see him against another up-and-coming guy, against another prospect. We'll probably beat him. We'll throw him in there with one of the killers, and he'll lose. So good luck to Jim Miller in the future. Yancy Medeiros, he's normally more of a submission guy. I'm not really sure what we're going to see from him in the future. Most likely he'll just get a few more fights, and we'll see what's up with him. Middleweight, Luke Rockhold versus Tim Boetsch. Dang. Wow. We always know Tim as the barbarian, right? Really strong, kind of just savage type fighter. He's really well known for that comeback win he had over Yushin Okami a few years back, where Yushin Okami was taking him down, beating him up, and just working him for pretty much the whole fight. Then out of nowhere, Tim Boetsch he was a barbarian, and he was able to pin Yushin Okami up against the cage with I think it was his left hand, and then use his right hand to come up under with some nasty uppercuts, and just put Yushin Okami away in that fight. So he's got some decent wins in the UFC at 205 and at 185, but fought Luke Rockhold and got absolutely clowned. Wow, Tim Boetsch shot him for a single, and Luke kind of reversed it, rolled him over, and ended up in a reverse triangle or an inverted triangle. And that was just nasty. And Tim Boetsch had nowhere to go. He was able to defend the triangle, but obviously he had his arms exposed. I mean, if you kind of envision like an inverted triangle, you kind of sit it on top of the guy. And And then Luke Rockhold just went in and finished him off with the Kimura. That was nasty. 2 minutes in the first round. That was sick. What are we going to do with Luke Rockhold? I don't know. I think he really wants that rematch with Vitor Belfort. We'll see if that happens. I think he probably will have a better fight against Vitor if they do fight again. Will he beat him? It's hard to say. Especially the post-TRT Vitor. We'll see how that works out. But either way, definitely Luke Rockhold. Top contender 185. And, we'll likely get a title shot at some point down the road. 185 is a little bit deeper than it used to be, but still not exactly, the top division. So I would be surprised if he didn't end up getting a title shot later on down the road. And plus, he is the former Strikeforce middleweight champion anyway. So definitely look out for him. Light heavyweight. Anthony Johnson versus Phil Davis. Damn. Now, this did not go the way anybody expected. Anybody. So if you're looking at this video and you're saying, oh, I knew Romo was going to win. Come on, dude. Stop. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I mean, I knew that it was going to be probably a close fight. I think that Anthony Johnson was going to give Phil Davis some troubles early on. But I figured Anthony Johnson would do what Anthony Johnson does, probably gas out a little bit, and have Phil Davis take him down, beat him up, and that'd be the end of that. Boy, was I wrong. Wow. Anthony Johnson just absolutely destroyed Phil Davis. Had Phil Davis running away scared the whole fight. Didn't want to engage. After he got clocked that first couple times, he was like, all right, man, I'm done. I'm done fighting. I'm just going to run around here, throw some kicks, throw some short punches, and, like pull back early on my punches because I'm so scared of getting countered. And I'm going to try to shoot in and get stuffed. And I'm pretty much just going to continue that trend for the rest of the fight and not really, present myself as a threat. Wow. I mean, I did not expect that at all. Anthony Johnson, big, strong, powerful, conditioned, didn't gas out, was able to tag Phil Davis at will. And whenever Phil Davis would shoot in, Anthony would just, he wouldn't even sprawl. He would just take it. Sometimes, there was at one point where I think Phil Davis shot him for a single. It looked like Phil Davis just bounced off of him. It was like, Anthony Johnson just locked his hips. And Phil Davis just kind of like bounced right off of Anthony Johnson. I mean, damn. This guy's Division I All-American, bouncing off a dude when he's shooting in for a takedown. Damn, that's incredible. And we've probably heard this a million times by now, but Anthony Johnson is scary, man. That's some scary, scary stuff. If the top wrestler, one of the top wrestlers in the division, can't get him down, who can? You know what I mean? Who's ever gonna get him down? I don't know. And you see he's got some real powerful hands, some good technique too, training over there at the Black Zillion. I think I see him a little less wild than he used to be. His punches are still a little loopy, but still straighter, stronger. And yeah, man, Anthony Johnson. Where does he go from here? I don't know. Nowhere but up. Let's put it that way. Who would we like to see him against? I don't know. Trying to think who's available at 205. Give me 1 second. Maybe Dan Henderson, maybe type. We'll see. I think Dan Henderson's got a fight coming up here, and we'll see the winner of Dan Henderson and Daniel Cormier. Maybe he fight the winner of that, or the loser of that, possibly. I know they usually try to put winners with winners, but considering Anthony Johnson ain't been in the UFC a long time, that'd be a good fight. Put him against the loser of Dan Henderson and Daniel Cormier, possibly. And we'll see that. But man, he pretty much catapulted himself into top 10 in the 205 division. So we'll see where that goes. Phil Davis, I don't know, man. He's definitely got some good wrestling, and he got some pretty good submissions too. We've seen him submitting dudes left and right with that the Anaconda choke that he likes to throw off on people. He even has that patented Mr. Wonderful submission, the one-arm Kimura that he pulled off a while back against Tim Boach. But dude, the problem with this guy is, man, he does not like getting hit. He does. And it's not that he has a bad chin. Like he takes the punches, but the way he reacts to them, like he's like an absolute horror when he gets hit. He's like boom, and he's just like. Then you could tell from then on he's real timid. He doesn't commit fully to his strikes. He doesn't commit fully to his shots. he just kind of runs on the outside, throws these shorts like little like scare jabs, and he throws some kicks and every once in a while, and he just spends his time running away. And that's not how you do it, man. And this isn't the first time we've seen that out of Phil Davis. You saw it against Rashad Evans, and you've seen it against even some of the fights he won, like when he beat Little Nog. Beat Little Nog. Little Nog was tagging him up a little bit, and you see Phil Davis kind of squinting and turning away and stuff like that, man. You can't do that. Not if you want to be successful, at least. I mean, you've seen guys when they get hit. Obviously, the force of the hit, the impact, will drive them away, drive them back, manipulate their movement, whatnot. But it's different with Phil Davis. When he gets hit, not only does the momentum of the punch knock him, sideways or backwards, but like after that, instead of like turning back to face his opponent and to, move his head or put his hands up, he just like turns and runs. You know what I mean? He'll just get the hell out of there, which obviously is probably a prudent course of action, especially when you're fighting a guy like Anthony Johnson. But still, like, if you're going to be successful, you're going to have to face your opponent, stand in the pocket, move your head, and counter. You can't just get blasted and turn your head and duck out of there every time you get hit. That's not how to do things. So, I don't know about Phil Davis, man. He's just going to be relegated to gatekeeper status for the rest of his career? I don't know. We'll see. He'll probably get, judging by how his career has gone up to this point, they'll give him another loser for his next fight, and he'll win. So, oh well. All right, now the main event. Jon Jones versus Glover Teixeira. Excuse me. Well, did anybody really see this fight going any other way? I mean, I'm at work, and I get these people all the time, that, I don't know, they don't like Jon Jones, which I'm going to make a video on. A lot of people don't like Jon Jones for whatever reason, but I'll make a video on that later on. And, man, some people are just like, oh yeah, I think Glover has a chance. Glover, this guy, yeah, man, I've seen him knock guys out. He's good at wrestling, good jiu-jitsu. Who hasn't Jon Jones fought who hasn't had good striking or good jiu-jitsu or good wrestling or whatever? Like, what makes you think this guy's any different? Look, Glover Teixeira, he is what he is. Big, strong, powerful, and that's his game. Okay, he'll get inside, blast you with some hooks, maybe take you down, maybe blast you with some ground and pound, and if the submission's open, he'll get it. But that's it. I mean, that's all he's got. I mean, Jon Jones has routinely picked guys like that apart. What made anybody think that he was going to get inside and blast Jon Jones with some hooks and whatnot? Do people actually really think that? Glover Teixeira, man. I mean, early on, he did have a little success. I mean, he was able to tag Jon Jones a couple times, but Jon Jones, to his credit, ate the punches and was able to deflect a few, with his hands or move his head, get out of the way. And he really just wore Teixeira down with those kicks and those long punches and those oblique kicks to the knees, which I still find to be slightly dirty, but legal, so it's okay. And the whole eye poke thing, the stiff arming eye poke thing, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, look, obviously you can't just hold your fingers up in front of your opponent and like force your opponent to, run their eyes into your fingers. You can't do that. But Jon Jones did it over and over and over again. Now, how do you differentiate that between like a stiff arm, where he would put his palm on Teixeira's forehead and just kind of hold him out? That's okay. You can do that. But you can't just hold your fingers right in front of his face. And Jon Jones did that like over and over and over again. The ref did warn him a couple times and threatened to take a point, but he kind of continued to do it. He just was a little bit more careful in the future. So I don't know what to do about that. I mean, you see that in boxing a lot. You see guys will hold up one hand. Now in boxing, obviously they have closed finger gloves, so they can do that. So I don't know what the solution is. Maybe you can talk to Jon Jones and have him, instead of extending his fingers out like this, he could just tuck them. Maybe. I guess that would help a little bit, I suppose. But I mean, that's his style, man. He gauges his reach with his free hand. He'll stick that hand out there. That way he knows that, I can touch him, but he can't touch me at this distance. And it's an effective tool. He used it all day and night on Glover Teixeira, who had no answer for that whatsoever. Eventually, Teixeira got worn down and got pushed up against the cage, and then Jon Jones went to work, son. Just throwing elbows, body punches, uppercuts, hooks, and was taking, a lot of people say, oh, he took Glover Teixeira into his own game. I don't think so. I mean, by then Glover's hair was so worn down and beat up. His punches didn't really have as much snap and as much thrust on them as they did early on. So by then, I don't think Glover's hair was that big of a threat by that time later in the fight. So and then John Jones went on to clown Glover toward the end of the fight, which hey, he won all 5 rounds, so I guess I can't really hate on him for doing that. But in the end, easy, I think unanimous decision, 50-45, 50-45, 50-45 across the board. So John Jones with yet another win. What's next for him? Likely he'll get a rematch with Alexander Gustafsson. That's the fight everybody wants to see. That's the fight that Dana White's trying to make. Although he did remain still very tight-lipped about it when they were asking about it. He just didn't respond. I don't. It's not that he's scared. I think at this point, he just wants to milk the UFC out of everything they possibly can if he's going to take that rematch. And I think that's why he's kind of playing the games and saying the things that you've heard him say recently about the fight. I mean, because really, who else? I mean, who else is out there? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to see Dan Henderson fight Daniel Cormier. But even if that fight goes as planned, it's still going to wait another 3-4 months after the fight's over to start, planning up to whoever wins that fight fighting John Jones. And Gustafsson's pretty much ready to go right now. And John Jones will have a little bit of recovery time, and then we'll see him back in action. So I think that's the only fight that really makes sense right now. Um, but obviously that's up to John Jones and the UFC. But for all this, oh, he's ducking him or he's scared. Oh, guys, come on. Would you stop with that crap? Nobody in the UFC is scared of anybody else. Okay, these guys will all fight anybody if they pay them to. And it's all a matter of that. It's all a matter about the money, the timing, the pay, what's the best interest of the fighter. All those things come into play. It's not a matter of, oh, I'm just scared. If they were scared, they wouldn't be in the freaking UFC. Okay? So please, guys, come on. Stop with that. And look, I'm not doing this to jump on John Jones' defense. Again, I'm going to make another video about that at some point, talking about John Jones. But, would you just stop with the whole, oh, he's scared to fight Gustafsson? I mean, he did beat him. Granted, it was close. Granted, it was a true test for John Jones. I don't think that he's scared of him. He already beat him. Why would you be scared of a guy you beat? Anyway, so that's it. UFC 172. Very interesting card. Very exciting card, especially the prelims, man. Dudes are getting choked out left and right. Dudes are getting flying kneed. And then on the main card, dudes are getting choked, guillotined, submitted, punch, kick, elbowed. Very, very good card. We'll see later on what the pay-per-view results were in terms of pay-per-view purchases, because as we've seen recently, the pay-per-view purchase has been down for the UFC across the board recently. So we'll see if this one kind of came up, especially considering the very violent card we saw. But other than that, guys, I think that's about it. It's been real. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, do what you got to do. And my next video will be about John Jones. Just stay tuned. It's coming. This is Anthony, the MMA and political analyst. I'll talk to you.